And what's the difference between what we saw last year with Max starting out so dominant, just like he had for years past, and then how everything changed all of a
Yeah,
sudden mid-season?
changed in Miami.
Okay, so what's the difference between last year and this year on why that can or can't happen again?
What needs to happen? Well, I guess what can't happen is McLaren cannot beat themselves. Red Bull last year lost it at Miami because McLaren brought the upgrades to their car to that race that gave them the maximum, allowed them to get the maximum out of the car that they had already designed
Miami.
at Miami. And Norris won that race. And that was the first one that he came out and won. And really, Verstappen was leading that one. But Verstappen kind of shot himself in the foot by damaging his under tray of his car. And that gave Norris the ability to win. But Norris and McLaren had brought the upgrades to the car that enabled him to be there to begin with. Now, Red Bull is in the situation that McLaren was in last year. They were behind looking forward. They just flip-flop places at the beginning of this year. So what Red Bull has to do is make the right changes to their car in terms of upgrades. So there is a news report that I saw that at Imola, Red Bull is scheduled to bring a large upgrade to their car, and we'll see if that pays off. If Max Verstappen and Yuki Tsunoda suddenly find speed at Imola, and they find enough speed to catch up with the McLaren, I think we've got a different perspective for the rest of the season, and it might be a much closer fight. But at the same time, you got to remember that McLaren's going to still be upgrading their car as well. So they're going to have upgrades coming at some point in the future too.
Okay.
Just whether or not Red Bull can bring the right ones and bring enough of them to close the gap to McLaren. So look for that at Imola.
So the upgrades, do they
Right.
only occur when you have the extra week or two off?
Usually, but they're typically scheduled in advance because obviously these teams are designing the pieces. They have to manufacture them themselves and they have to put them through testing and all that kind of stuff. So they try to schedule when they're coming up, and they also try to do them when they're close to home. Generally speaking, at a flyaway race like Miami, where all the teams are based in Europe, nobody's based in Florida, and it's across the ocean, you're probably not going to see too much in the way of upgrades. You might see some small ones, but the big upgrades typically come around the typical European events that are close to the home bases so that they can shuttle parts back and forth if necessary.
All right. So that's so we'll have to wait at least until Miami at the earliest to find out whether or not there might be some changes. And we would know that immediately regarding practice.
Absolutely.
Okay.